Do you feel like you're constantly burdened by the weight of other people's problems? You might be the person everyone turns to when they're struggling, but what about your own struggles? What happens when you're the one feeling overwhelmed? We've all been there, feeling like you're the one expected to solve every problem, fix every issue, and take on the emotional load of those around you. And while it's good to be there for people, to show empathy and offer support, when it becomes a constant, it can be draining. Eventually, you end up losing sight of your own needs. You start to neglect your own well-being in the process, all while trying to take on the world. It's exhausting, it's unsustainable, and it's time to change that. Let me tell you something important. You don't have to fix everyone's problems. You're not obligated to carry other people's burdens, especially when it comes at the expense of your own peace. We've been taught that helping others is a sign of strength, but here's the catch. If you give away all your energy without replenishing yourself, you'll end up with nothing left to give. Think about it. What good are you to anyone if you're running on empty? What good is it to help others if it's draining you to the point where you lose your own happiness? It's time to stop the cycle of self-sacrifice. It's time to protect your own energy, your own peace, and your own happiness. This isn't about being selfish, this is about being self-aware. It's about taking responsibility for your own well-being first, so that you can show up as your best self for others, not as an empty shell of the person you used to be. There is no honor in running yourself ragged for people who are capable of standing on their own. There is power in recognizing when enough is enough. Think about the last time you said yes to someone, even though you really didn't have the energy for it. Maybe you agreed to help a friend who needed emotional support, or said yes to a project at work that you knew would take up more of your time than you had. How did you feel afterward? If you're like most people, you probably felt drained. You probably felt like you had just given a part of yourself away, and yet you still weren't able to fully show up for the people or the things that mattered most to you. This is where boundaries come in. Boundaries are not walls that push people away. They're the safeguards that protect your energy, your peace, and your ability to thrive. Boundaries create the space you need to focus on your own goals and well-being. Now, setting boundaries isn't always easy. In fact, it can feel downright uncomfortable at first. You might fear rejection or feel guilty about saying no. It's a natural response, especially for those who are used to being the ones people rely on. But here's the thing, saying no doesn't make you a bad person. In fact, it makes you a stronger one. It shows that you value your own time and energy. It shows that you're willing to protect yourself so that you can be there for others in a healthier, more sustainable way. The people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries, and the ones who don't, well, that's a sign that maybe it's time to reevaluate how much of your energy you're willing to give away. One of the most powerful things you can do for yourself is learn how to say no without feeling guilty. Let me break it down for you. Saying no isn't about being selfish, it's about self-respect. When you say no to others, you're actually saying yes to yourself. You're saying yes to your own needs, your own well-being, and your own growth. You're creating space for what truly matters. You're prioritizing your own health and happiness so that you have the energy and clarity to show up for the things that align with your values and goals. Imagine the freedom that comes with knowing how to say no without guilt. Imagine the peace that comes from not feeling obligated to take on every responsibility that's handed to you. Imagine how much more room you'll have in your life to focus on your passions, your dreams, and the relationships that truly matter. Saying no is not a rejection of people, it's an affirmation of your worth. It's an understanding that your time and energy are precious, and you can't afford to give them away without thought. Let me tell you something else. It's okay to put yourself first. For too long, we've been taught that putting ourselves first is selfish or greedy, but that's a lie. Taking care of yourself is essential for your survival, your happiness, and your ability to give to others. Think about it this way. If you were in an airplane and the oxygen masks dropped, you would be told to put on your own mask before helping others. Why? Because you can't help anyone else if you're unconscious. The same applies to your life. You need to take care of yourself first. Only then can you truly be there for others. If you don't start setting boundaries now, if you don't start saying no when you need to, you will find yourself depleted, stressed, and disconnected from the things that matter most. Your energy will be constantly drained by people, situations, and obligations that don't serve you. You'll find yourself at the mercy of other people's expectations, living your life according to what they need instead of what you need. And that's no way to live. I challenge you today, right now, to start taking control of your energy. You don't have to fix everything. You don't have to solve every problem. Your peace is non-negotiable. You deserve to live a life where you're in control of your time, your emotions, and your energy. It starts with saying no. It starts with setting boundaries. It starts with realizing that you have the power to choose how much of yourself you give away. It's not about being selfish. It's about being smart. And it's about time you started protecting what matters most. You are worthy of the life you want, the life you deserve. But it all starts with you. It all starts with putting yourself first. And once you do, everything changes. Your confidence, your peace of mind, your happiness, it's all within your control. But first, you have to make the decision to protect it. Start today. Say no when you need to. Set that boundary. Protect your energy. You've got this. Do you ever feel like everyone around you is constantly turning to you for help, advice, or emotional support? It can feel like you're the go-to person for everyone's problems. They lean on you, they rely on you, and you can't help but want to be there for them. But here's the thing. This expectation, this weight, is not only overwhelming, it's unsustainable. Society has trained us to believe that being needed is a sign of worth. But what happens when the constant requests start to wear you down? When everyone around you looks to you for answers, for comfort, or for help, it's easy to feel like you're drowning under the pressure. Every please help feels like another brick in the wall you've built around yourself. It's exhausting, and yet we keep saying yes because somehow we think that's what we're supposed to do. But at what cost? What you may not realize is that constantly carrying other people's burdens comes at a hidden cost to your own life. Every time you say yes to someone else's need, you take a little bit more from yourself. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with other people's problems. One after another, they keep piling on until you're weighed down and can barely move. This is what happens when you take on the emotional or mental struggles of others over and over again. It drains you physically, mentally, and emotionally. The more you carry, the less energy you have to devote to your own life, your own goals, your own needs. You can't move forward because you're stuck carrying everyone else's load. And here's the truth. The longer you keep carrying that weight, the more difficult it becomes to even stand on your own 2 feet. It's a vicious cycle that doesn't just impact your energy, but your ability to focus, to feel joy, and to live with a sense of purpose. So why is it so hard to say no? Why do we feel like we can't let people down, even when we're at the brink of exhaustion? The answer lies in guilt. We fear disappointing others, letting them down, or being seen as selfish. But let me tell you something. Feeling guilty for saying no is a trap. It's rooted in insecurity and the need for approval. Deep down, we fear that if we stop saying yes, we might not be loved or appreciated anymore. We tie our worth to how much we can give, how much we can help, and how much we can do for others. But in the process, we lose sight of ourselves. We become people pleasers, stuck in a cycle of overextension and emotional depletion. Every yes feels like it's expected, and saying no feels like a betrayal. The problem is, this pattern is unsustainable. The more you give, the less you have for yourself, and eventually you'll burn out. It's time to stop feeling guilty about protecting your own energy. Eventually the tipping point comes, the point where helping others stops being helpful and starts being harmful to you. At some point you'll realize that every yes you say chips away at your own well-being. You'll feel physically drained, emotionally empty, and mentally exhausted. The weight of always saying yes will push you to a breaking point. The constant demands will leave you feeling like you're never fully present for anything, whether it's your work, your personal life, or your own growth. You might even start to resent the very people you once helped. It's not because you don't care, but because the burden has become too much. Saying yes becomes automatic, but it's not sustainable. If you keep giving in without protecting yourself, you'll find yourself in a place where you can't help anyone, least of all yourself. The key to breaking free from this cycle starts with recognizing the problem before it completely consumes you. Awareness is the first step. It's about recognizing when you're stretching yourself too thin and starting to feel the emotional toll of overcommitting. The early signs are subtle. You may feel a sense of overwhelm, fatigue, or frustration that builds up over time. You might notice that you're constantly putting others' needs before your own and feeling like there's no time left for the things that matter most to you. This is your cue to take a step back. Self-awareness is your tool for regaining control. When you can recognize the signs of depletion, you can start setting boundaries before you reach your breaking point. It's about making a choice. Will you continue to sacrifice your own well-being, or will you take the necessary steps to protect your energy and reclaim your life? The moment you acknowledge this problem is the moment you begin to take back control. It's time to stop letting the demands of others define your life. Have you ever felt like you're constantly pulled in 100 different directions? Like your time, energy, and emotions are always being demanded by others, leaving you with little left for yourself. Maybe you found yourself agreeing to help others even when it drains you. You've probably said yes to a request you didn't want to take on, or you've kept quiet when something didn't feel right, all because you didn't know how to draw the line. I get it. It's easy to think that being available to everyone, being the person they turn to, is a sign of love and support. But there comes a point when it's no longer sustainable. When your constant giving starts to chip away at who you are, leaving you feeling empty and worn out. Today we're going to explore a powerful tool that can help you regain control: boundaries. These aren't just walls to keep others out. They are your protection, your way to prioritize your own health, well-being, and happiness. In this speech, I'll guide you through understanding boundaries, why they are critical, and how to start setting them in your life. Trust me, once you begin to understand their power, you'll never look back. Let's begin with the basics. What exactly are boundaries? Simply put, boundaries are the limits we set on how much we allow others to influence our emotional, mental, and physical space. They are essential for protecting our well-being. Think of them like a personal fence around your property. You wouldn't allow anyone to just wander in and take whatever they want. The same goes for your emotions and energy. Without boundaries, you open yourself up to constant demands from others. Boundaries are not about being selfish. They are about preserving your ability to care for yourself and your own needs. Emotional and psychological boundaries are the limits you set around your time, your thoughts, and your feelings. They help you distinguish what belongs to you and what belongs to someone else. For example, you might find yourself staying up late to listen to a friend's problem even though you're exhausted from your own day. You keep saying yes to people who ask for your time or advice, even when you're struggling to find time for your own work. These are subtle signs that you're crossing your own boundaries. You're overextending yourself, and while it may seem like you're being helpful, in reality, you're giving so much of yourself that you start to lose sight of your own needs. Over time, this pattern can lead to burnout, frustration, and resentment. Boundaries help you recognize when you're doing too much and remind you that it's okay to step back and take care of yourself. Boundaries are crucial for maintaining your mental health. Think about it this way: you can't pour from an empty cup. If you're constantly giving to others, emotionally, mentally, or physically, without taking time to refill your own cup, eventually there will be nothing left to give. You'll feel drained, overwhelmed, and empty. That's where boundaries come in. They act as a shield, preserving your energy so you have enough for yourself and those who truly matter. Without boundaries, you risk becoming a shell of who you are, trying to be everything for everyone, and forgetting about your own happiness and growth. By setting clear boundaries, you protect yourself from being depleted by the demands of others. This isn't about being cold or distant, it's about ensuring you have the energy to be the best version of yourself. Boundaries give you the space to prioritize your mental and emotional health, and when you take care of yourself, you're able to show up more effectively for others when it truly counts. It's a necessary part of self-care that ensures you're not only surviving, but thriving. There's a misconception that setting boundaries means you're building walls to shut people out, but that's not the case at all. Boundaries are not about keeping people at a distance. They are about protecting your energy so you can engage with others in a healthy, balanced way. Think of boundaries like the walls of a house. The walls don't keep you from inviting guests in, they simply protect the space inside, keeping it safe and secure. Without walls, your home would be exposed to anything and everything that comes along. Similarly, without boundaries, you're exposed to every emotional and mental demand people place on you, and that can become overwhelming. When you set boundaries, you are not isolating yourself from the world or from relationships. Instead, you're creating a space where you can give love and connect with others without losing yourself in the process. Boundaries allow you to engage with others in a way that respects both your needs and theirs. It's a healthy way to maintain a sense of self, even as you build meaningful connections. Boundaries are your protection, your way of saying, I value myself enough to make sure I'm okay first, so you can show up fully for those who need you. Now, you might be thinking, won't setting boundaries push people away? In fact, the opposite is true. Boundaries actually strengthen your relationships. When you're constantly overextending yourself for others, it can create an unhealthy dynamic. People may begin to take your time and energy for granted, expecting you to always be there to solve their problems. But when you set boundaries, you create a space where your relationships can grow authentically. Setting limits on what you're willing to do doesn't mean you don't care. It means you respect both your needs and the needs of others. Healthy boundaries allow for more genuine connections because they remove the unspoken expectation that you must always be available or take on the emotional load for others. When you're clear about what you need and what you're willing to give, you communicate respect for yourself and for the people in your life. This mutual respect strengthens the foundation of any relationship. Instead of feeling resentful, you'll find yourself engaged in relationships that are balanced, supportive, and meaningful. So how do you start setting boundaries? It's not always easy, but it's necessary. Start small. The next time someone asks you for something that you know will drain you, take a moment to reflect before responding. It's okay to say no. You don't need to explain yourself or feel guilty. Saying no to one request is a step toward taking back control of your time and energy. You don't have to be harsh or unkind. Just be direct and clear about your limits. Another important step is to be compassionate with yourself. Recognize your own needs before agreeing to take on more. It's okay to put yourself first sometimes. Practice self-reflection. What do you need today? What do you have the energy for? When you start recognizing your own needs, setting boundaries becomes easier. It's about finding a balance between helping others and protecting yourself. Remember, you are your own responsibility. By setting healthy limits, you not only protect your own well-being, but also create the space for more meaningful connections with those around you. Have you ever found yourself saying yes to things you didn't really want to do? Maybe it's because you didn't want to disappoint someone, or perhaps you were worried about how they would view you if you said no. We all face this struggle. We live in a world that places so much value on being available and helpful to others that it can feel like saying no is a failure. But here's the truth: constantly saying yes can drain your energy, your time, and your well-being. Today I want to change the way you think about saying no. I want you to understand that it's not about rejecting others. It's about protecting your own space, energy, and future. It's about empowering yourself to live a life that's aligned with your own needs and desires. So let me ask you this: what would your life look like if you stopped saying yes to everything and started saying no to the things that don't serve you? Imagine the time, the energy, and the opportunities you would create for yourself. Let's dive in, because the power of saying no is about to change everything for you. Let's start by acknowledging the reality we all face. Saying no feels uncomfortable. It's natural to fear disappointing others, to fear rejection, or to feel guilty about letting someone down. We are wired to want to be liked, to be seen as helpful, and to avoid conflict. So when someone asks something of us, the immediate reaction is often to say yes. Even if we don't have the time or energy to give, we feel like we owe it to others, or like we're letting them down if we don't comply. Think about it. How many times have you agreed to something that wasn't really in your best interest? Maybe you've said yes to a work project that drained you, or to a social event that you knew you weren't up for. You do it because you don't want to disappoint someone, but the truth is, you end up disappointing yourself in the process. The psychological struggle is real. We're caught between wanting to please others and wanting to protect our own well-being. But here's the thing: when you constantly say yes and overextend yourself, you lose sight of what you need and what matters most to you. Now let's talk about shifting that mindset. Saying no isn't selfish, it's self-respect. You're not rejecting people, you're protecting your time, energy, and personal growth. Think about it this way: every time you say no to something that doesn't align with your values or your goals, you're saying yes to something that truly matters. You're saying yes to your well-being, you're saying yes to your time, you're saying yes to creating space for the things that will help you grow. Imagine how different your life would be if you started saying no to the things that drain you and yes to the things that energize you. That's where the real power lies. Saying no is a tool for you to take control of your life. It's a way to protect your mental health, your time, and your peace. It's not an act of rejection, it's an act of empowerment. So start viewing your no as a positive choice, not a negative one. It's your way of preserving your energy for the things that truly matter. Here's where the magic happens: when you learn to say no, you actually create space for better things to come into your life. When you say no to things that drain you or don't align with your goals, you free yourself up to say yes to the things that truly matter. Saying no allows you to focus on what's important, to dive deeper into experiences that will bring you fulfillment and growth. It creates room for more meaningful relationships, where you're not constantly overwhelmed by obligations. Saying no is not about cutting people off. It's about prioritizing what's going to bring value to your life and what's going to support your journey forward. For example, imagine turning down a commitment to a social event you don't want to attend. By doing so, you can use that time to invest in a hobby, take care of yourself, or deepen your relationships with people who truly support you. You're not just freeing up time, you're making room for personal growth, for freedom, and for the things that will lead to a more meaningful life. Saying no is a powerful tool for creating space for what's right for you. Now let's break this down with some real-life examples. Picture this: you've had a long week, and someone asks you to take on yet another project at work. Your first instinct is to say yes, but deep down, you know you're already stretched thin. What happens if you say yes anyway? You end up exhausted, stressed, and potentially burnt out. Now what if you say no? You create space for yourself to rest, recharge, and focus on what really matters. Maybe you spend that extra time working on something that aligns with your personal goals, or you simply give yourself the break you need to avoid burnout. Another example: a friend asks you to attend an event you really don't want to go to. You feel guilty at first because you don't want to disappoint them, but by saying no, you free yourself up to engage in something that aligns more with your own needs, whether that's a quiet night in or spending time with people who truly nourish you. Saying no doesn't make you a bad friend or a bad colleague. It makes you someone who values their own well-being. It's a powerful act of self-care and self-respect. Finally, let's address the guilt. It's real and it's tough. But I want you to recognize that the guilt you feel when saying no doesn't come from a place of moral failure. It comes from a fear of rejection. You fear that by saying no, you'll push people away, or that they'll think less of you. But here's the truth: The right people will respect your boundaries. They will understand that you have your own needs and limitations, and they will value you even more for having the courage to set them. When you learn to say no, you attract people who appreciate you for who you truly are, not for how much you can do for them. So don't let guilt control your decisions. The guilt will fade as you realize that saying no is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of your strength. The more you practice saying no, the more you'll recognize that those who truly care about you will respect your choices and support your boundaries. And those who don't, well, they're not the ones you need in your life anyway. Remember, saying no is not the enemy, it's your ally. It's a tool for protecting your energy, your time, and your future. So take a deep breath, trust yourself, and start practicing the power of saying no. Your life will thank you for it. Have you ever felt like you're giving so much of yourself to others that there's nothing left for you? Maybe you've spent so much time meeting everyone else's needs that you've lost sight of your own. It's exhausting, isn't it? You end up drained, overwhelmed, and frustrated, wondering why you feel so empty despite always giving. Here's the hard truth. You can't pour from an empty cup. Today, I'm going to challenge you to shift your mindset. I'm going to show you why putting yourself first is not only okay, it's necessary. It's not selfish, it's essential. When you start prioritizing yourself, you're not just taking care of you. You're creating the foundation to show up as the best version of yourself, to support others from a place of abundance, and to live a life full of purpose. So, let's talk about how to do this, how to put yourself first without guilt, and why this simple shift will transform not only your life, but the lives of those around you. The journey begins right now. Let's begin with a simple but crucial point. Putting yourself first isn't selfish. It's a requirement for personal growth. We've been taught to believe that taking care of ourselves comes last, that helping others, meeting obligations, and being there for everyone else should always come before our own needs. But here's the truth. If you neglect yourself, you become less capable of helping others in the long run. Think about it this way. When your physical, mental, and emotional batteries are drained, you can't offer anything of real value to anyone. You're running on empty. But when you prioritize your own well-being, whether that's through rest, nourishment, or time for personal growth, you're filling your cup. And when your cup is full, you have so much more to offer the world around you. Self-care is not indulgence, it's a necessity. It's the foundation for everything you want to achieve in life. Without it, you're just surviving. With it, you're thriving. Don't buy into the myth that taking time for yourself is selfish. When you put yourself first, you're setting the stage for everything you do to be more meaningful, impactful, and sustainable. Now let's talk about happiness. We live in a world that constantly tells us that our happiness depends on other people's approval or external circumstances. We seek validation through likes, comments, promotions, and other people's opinions. But here's the reality. Happiness doesn't come from the outside in, it comes from the inside out. Your happiness is the seed, and your boundaries are the soil that nourishes it. If you allow the opinions of others or external events to dictate your happiness, you're setting yourself up for a life of uncertainty. But when you take responsibility for your own happiness, when you stop waiting for the world to tell you it's okay to feel good, you unlock a sense of peace and fulfillment that no one can take from you. It starts with setting boundaries, knowing what you need, and honoring that. When you stop looking for external validation, you give yourself permission to feel complete as you are. And this inner contentment allows you to show up more fully in relationships, in your work, and in your life. You become unshakable, grounded in the belief that your happiness is yours to create, not something dependent on anyone else. Here's another powerful truth. Putting yourself first actually strengthens your relationships. This isn't about cutting people off or being selfish. It's about teaching others how to respect you and what you need. When you prioritize yourself, you teach the people in your life that you value your own time, energy, and well-being. And when you do this, you attract relationships that are based on respect and authenticity. Think about it. How often do we find ourselves in situations where we're exhausted, frustrated, or unhappy because we've said yes to things we didn't want to do? And in doing so, we end up resenting the very people we're trying to please. But when you start putting yourself first, when you set healthy boundaries, you attract people who respect those boundaries. You become more authentic, and in return, your relationships become more fulfilling. Self-love isn't about pushing people away. It's about inviting those who truly support and respect you to come closer. And here's the kicker. The more you respect yourself, the more others will respect you too. This simple shift creates a ripple effect. Your respect for yourself encourages others to respect you, and you begin to build healthier, more meaningful connections. When you start prioritizing yourself, you open the door to self-discovery. You start investing time in what truly matters to you, in what makes you feel alive, and in what helps you grow. This process of self-discovery isn't just about finding out who you are. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. When you focus on your own goals, dreams, and development, you set the stage for personal growth that not only benefits you but inspires others as well. Your growth doesn't just make your life better. It becomes an example for others to follow. You can't help but show up in a more authentic, confident, and empowered way. When you feel good about who you are, when you're on your own path of growth, you have more to give to those around you. Your personal growth empowers you to contribute in a healthier, more sustainable way. This is how you create positive change, not just for yourself, but for everyone you come into contact with. The more you invest in yourself, the more you'll have to offer the world. Your growth becomes contagious, and those around you will start to feel inspired to grow too. Now let's get practical. How do you begin prioritizing yourself? First, make a list of your non-negotiables. What are the things that matter most to you? Your health, your passions, your relationships? Write them down and make them your top priorities. Next, schedule time for yourself. Whether it's a daily ritual or a weekly break, carve out time to invest in your own well-being. Treat it like an appointment that can't be missed. And here's the most important part: do it without guilt. Self-care is not optional. It's essential. When you take care of yourself, you are creating the conditions for everything else to thrive. Set boundaries. Learn how to say no to things that drain you, to obligations that aren't aligned with your goals, and to people who don't respect your time. Protect your energy. And finally, commit to yourself. When you make a commitment to prioritize your needs, you're telling yourself that you are worth it. Start small if you need to, but start now. The more you practice prioritizing yourself, the easier it becomes, and the more you'll see the positive changes ripple through every area of your life. Remember, putting yourself first isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. You deserve to live a life that's balanced, fulfilling, and full of purpose. By prioritizing yourself, you're creating the foundation for personal growth, stronger relationships, and a deeper sense of happiness. So stop waiting for permission. Start today. Your future self will thank you. Do you ever feel like you're constantly running on empty, giving and giving, but never feeling like you've got anything left for yourself? Maybe you're the type of person who says yes to every request, tries to be everything for everyone, and ends up exhausted, overwhelmed, and unfulfilled. It's like you're giving away pieces of yourself until there's nothing left. Here's the harsh truth: your energy is finite. You only have so much to give. And if you're not careful, it will be drained by others' demands, your own stress and distractions. Today, I'm going to show you how to take control of your energy, how to stop saying yes to everything, and how to protect your well-being. This isn't just about feeling good in the moment. It's about creating sustainable energy for your goals, your relationships, and your life. You have the power to reclaim your time and focus, but it starts with learning how to guard your energy. Stay with me, because what you'll learn today could change the way you approach your life and your future. Your energy is limited. I want you to understand this simple fact. Every time you say yes to something, you're giving away a piece of your energy. Every task, every favor, every obligation, every interaction requires energy. And when you say yes to everything, you start to drain your reserves. Eventually, you're running on fumes, unable to focus on what truly matters to you. Think about how you feel after a long day of constantly pleasing others, meeting expectations, or jumping from task to task. You feel drained, right? Maybe even defeated. The problem with constantly saying yes is that you're left with little to no energy for your personal goals, your passions, or even your own well-being. You've given so much of yourself away that there's nothing left for you. This is the trap. It feels good to help, to please others, but when it comes at the cost of your own energy, it's not sustainable. If you want to take control of your life and your energy, you need to learn to say no more often. Only then can you truly invest in the things that matter most to you. The next step is to identify what's draining you. Energy leaks are everywhere, and most of the time we don't even realize it. It could be toxic relationships, negative work environments, or unnecessary drama that keeps pulling you in. Sometimes it's your own bad habits, staying up too late, stressing about things outside your control, or overcommitting to people who don't respect your time. Whatever it is, it's important to take a step back and evaluate what's draining your energy. Pay attention to how you feel after certain interactions. Do you feel energized, motivated, and inspired? Or do you feel exhausted, depleted, and mentally drained? Start keeping track of the people, situations, and habits that leave you feeling empty. Those are your energy leaks. It's time to close them. Start by distancing yourself from the things that no longer serve you. Whether it's saying no to toxic people, cutting down on unnecessary commitments, or letting go of habits that aren't aligned with your goals. The more you protect your energy from these drains, the more you'll be able to focus on what truly matters. Think of your energy like a bank account. Every day you wake up with a balance, and just like money, once it's gone, it's gone. You need to spend it wisely. Being intentional with your time and energy means recognizing that not everything deserves your attention. You can't afford to spread yourself thin on things that don't move the needle in your life. When you protect your energy, you're choosing where to invest it. You're deciding that your time is valuable and that you want to focus on what truly moves you forward, whether that's your health, your career, your relationships, or your personal growth. Guarding your energy doesn't mean being selfish. It means being strategic. It means choosing to say no to distractions, to things that drain you, and to people who don't respect your time. And yes, it also means saying yes to the things that matter most. By protecting your energy, you're creating space to invest in your future, to focus on your growth, and to cultivate the relationships and experiences that truly matter. Let me be clear, helping others is not the problem. The problem is helping others at the expense of your own well-being. There's a fine line between being there for someone and losing yourself in the process. If you're constantly saying yes to everyone else and putting their needs before your own, you'll eventually burn out. You have to set clear boundaries with others about what you can and can't do. Helping doesn't mean saying yes to every request. It means knowing when to offer support and when to take a step back for your own health. You can be there for others without sacrificing yourself. Saying no with empathy and compassion is the key. It's about understanding that you can't give from an empty cup. By setting boundaries, you create healthier relationships where people understand your limits and respect your time. This doesn't make you a bad person, it makes you someone who values their own energy and is better equipped to help in the long run. The more you balance helping others with protecting yourself, the more sustainable your relationships will be. Saying no is one of the most powerful tools you have to protect your energy. And let me tell you something, it doesn't make you selfish, it makes you smart. When you say no, you're taking control of your time and your focus. You're saying that your energy is precious and you're not willing to waste it on things that don't align with your goals or your well-being. Saying no allows you to prioritize the things that truly matter, the things that will help you grow, the things that bring you joy. It's an act of self-respect. But here's the challenge, saying no can feel uncomfortable at first. We're conditioned to want to please others, to say yes because we fear letting people down. But saying no is a skill, and the more you practice it, the easier it gets. When you say no with confidence and clarity, you reclaim your time, your energy, and your life. Don't feel guilty for saying no. Instead, feel empowered. You're protecting your energy, and in doing so, you're giving yourself the ability to say yes to the things that matter most. Remember, your energy is one of your most valuable resources. Don't waste it on things that don't serve you. Take control, guard your energy, and practice saying no to protect your time and focus. When you do this, you'll find that you have more to give, not just to others, but to yourself. And that's how you create a life that's truly aligned with your values, your goals, and your purpose. Have you ever felt like you're constantly trying to fix everyone else's problems, only to find yourself drained, overwhelmed, and neglected? You try to help, try to please, try to be the answer for everyone, and yet you still feel unfulfilled. Today I'm here to tell you that you don't have to be the one who solves everyone else's issues. You're not responsible for carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. What if I told you that by setting boundaries and protecting your energy, you could live a life where you focus on your own growth and happiness? The truth is, when you stop trying to fix everyone around you, you create space to focus on what really matters: your life, your well-being, and your success. It's time to stop sacrificing yourself for others. I'm going to show you how to release the burden of feeling like you have to solve everything and how doing so can completely transform your life. Let's dive in. Let's get clear on this. You are not obligated to solve everyone else's problems. You don't have to be the fixer, the savior, or the problem solver in every situation. Yes, it's great to help others, but it's just as important to help yourself. You must learn to set boundaries and prioritize your own happiness and personal growth. Too often, we get caught up in trying to make everyone else happy, thinking that it's our job to fix everything. But here's the thing, when you put everyone else's needs above your own, you lose sight of your own well-being. You can't pour from an empty cup. You don't have to be the hero for everyone. Let go of the belief that you must carry the weight of everyone else's expectations. You have every right to prioritize your own life. Imagine a life where you're in control of your energy and emotions. A life where you don't feel guilty about saying no to requests that drain you. Picture the freedom of waking up each day knowing that you're not responsible for fixing other people's problems. Instead, you're focusing on your own growth, your goals, and your happiness. You've set boundaries that protect your time and energy, and you're no longer carrying the weight of everyone else's issues. This life is within your reach. It starts with letting go of the burden of always trying to please others. When you stop trying to be everything for everyone, you'll feel lighter, freer, and more in control of your future. The transformation is real, and it starts with you making the decision to take control of your own life. Let me tell you something powerful. The moment you start living for yourself, everything changes. Your confidence grows, your relationships improve. You start to feel peace in your mind and your heart. You stop living for the approval of others and you start living for you. You begin to trust yourself more, set stronger boundaries, and protect your energy. Your life becomes more fulfilling because it's focused on your needs and your growth, not on constantly seeking validation or trying to please everyone. Imagine the feeling of being fully in control of your life, of saying no when you need to, of saying yes to the things that truly matter. That's when the magic happens. Change doesn't have to be complicated. It starts with small, simple actions like setting boundaries and protecting your energy. It starts with living for you, not for everyone else. Now I'm challenging you to take action. Today, set one boundary. Say no to one request that drains your energy. Protect your time. Protect your peace. This is the first step toward the life you want. You don't have to wait for the perfect moment. Start now. You are worthy of the life you desire, and that life begins with making yourself a priority. You can no longer afford to put everyone else's needs before your own. It's time to reclaim your energy, your time, and your future. The power is in your hands. Start today and watch as your life begins to shift. It's time to live for you.